Yeah, cream of the crop, Devil Dog Gaming. Step into it.
Hello everybody, it's me, Nate, aka Devil Dog, and I'm back with another game review. This time I will be reviewing Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. So, is this actually a good game or not? Did EA finally break the mold on a Star Wars game that doesn't suck? Well, only time will tell, and only when watching my review will you know. So stay tuned to my review of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order to find out. Hello everybody, it's me, Nate, aka Devil Dog, and I'm back with another game review. This time I'm reviewing Jedi Fallen Order. It was developed by Respawn Entertainment and was published by EA and was released on November 15th of 2019 for Microsoft Windows, the Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. It is a single-player action-adventure game taking place roughly about 5 years after Revenge of the Sith, where you get to play as Cal Kestis, one of the last remaining Jedi that survives after a galaxy-wide purge that is now currently on the run from the Galactic Empire, and as you progress throughout the 20-plus hour-long adventure, traveling from 6 different planets on an epic quest to save the Jedi Order and triumph over the evil Empire. Now, as for overall gameplay, the best way to describe this is a lot of people are actually referring to this like a Dark Souls, Sekiro kind of game. I don't really think it's like that. I really don't think it's really like that. It does focus heavily on your lightsaber, which you can have your normal attacks, strong attacks, and mainly also your force powers that you get as you unlock them throughout the game. You also have some really neat moves, including wall running, your force push, force pull, and force slow. And you can upgrade them as you go through as well. Now, the main reason why they keep saying this is like Dark Souls is the parry block system and your dodge roll. You have to actually make sure, at least on the higher difficulties, that you have a really small window to actually parry an attack. So you have to notice certain key animations of enemies and be able to parry them, and you have a limited about meter of stamina for your parry before you run out. And you just gotta parry and then attack, parry and attack, and you can combine it. It's kind of a basic setup, but once you start unlocking new moves with your lightsaber and also combining it with your force powers, it does open up to be a rather robust sort of fighting mechanic. But if you really look at it, it's kind of simplified. It's nowhere near as difficult as a Dark Souls, honestly. Honestly, this game to me plays a lot like Metroidvania Uncharted. The way the level designs are, it's built around the same structure as an Uncharted Tomb Raider game, with some aspects almost like some quick time events and some God of War style epic battles with like giant things that go on. But it's one of these games where you'll go, you'll explore, you'll collect items, you'll find dialogue, you'll fight bosses, and as you progress and unlock new abilities, you can go back through and find little areas, cubby holes, and places you missed that because of your lack of ability at the time didn't allow you to fully get 100% complete on searching these planets. Like I said, it's got some pretty interesting set piece moments, and they're really cool and well done, but not quite up there in terms of Uncharted. But honestly, it reminds me of Uncharted with a lightsaber, with Star Wars Uncharted. That's what it reminds me of the most. Now, along with this game, you also have your ability to upgrade your lightsaber with different pieces that you find throughout your adventure. Now, most of the time, it's like different colored lasers, different pieces, and you can mix and match them and make a pretty unique looking lightsaber. But to me, I didn't really care about that. It didn't really make that much of a difference to me going through the game. Honestly, as you progress through, you'll get different outfits and stuff like that. But honestly, I was kind of worried, since this was an EA game, that they would have some sort of microtransactions in it. Since it's not an online game, this is a single player only experience, which I know it's shocking. I didn't know that EA would allow any of the companies they own to actually make a single player game anymore. But they did. And you know what? It actually works. I don't have a problem with this at all. And I can see them adding microtransactions in it in the future somehow. Probably for, like, maybe new skins. So if you want to play as like Han Solo or some other characters from Star Wars universe, I can see them doing that for microtransactions. And since it's a single player experience, I have no problem with that whatsoever. It's when you get into a multiplayer aspect and then you start getting bullied by people if you don't have the coolest items in game, then that leads to a problem. But in this, I don't really have a problem with it at all. It plays very well, though I have noticed, even on the highest setting that I'm running this on a PlayStation Pro, I can have it set to like the 60 frames a second mode instead of the higher resolution, and it still has these burps where it's loading the game level. And there was one part where I clearly could see in the distance where they drew in the boss that I was going to fight in these 3 big chunks that kind of slid down and connected together. And now if it was a robot, but no, this was like a big lizard creature right on the first planet. And I don't think they meant for me to see that, but it seemed like a little bit of an odd glitch. Now, the one thing I also have to point out with this game is when you first get it, it does require a good amount of install space on your hard drive. They need, I think it's only 45 gigs, but they require up to 60 gigs to install this game, and it does take a while. And it does, of course, have a day one patch. The day one patch only consists of an 800 megabit update, so it's just for fixing bugs and stuff. But other than that, it's really not that bad in terms of, the install time. It took a little while, but not as bad as most games. And as for the controls on the PS4, you'll use your L2 button to grab around, your L1 button is to parry, the circle button is to roll, and square button is to use your lightsaber, and your R1 is to pretty much do your different moves. Honestly, it's not a bad game. It's not like earth-shatteringly new or unique in any way, but it is nice to actually finally play a pretty decent Star Wars game. But to me, like I said, it feels like a reskinned version of Uncharted. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Now, as you go through the game and you kill enemies, you will come across these meditation rings. And that's basically your area. If you need to get your block meter up and your health back, you can recharge it there. And that's also where you use your points to unlock your new skills as well. Everything from adding health to you, adding new moves, and stuff like that. Now, here's the nice little thing of why they actually try to say that this game is a lot like Dark Souls, is the meditation rings. If you actually get your health back at them, it will respawn all the enemies in the area that you've defeated. Now, that isn't necessarily a big problem, since most of the enemies in this have very painful animations to tell you way ahead of time when they're going to do an attack that you can't block, that you need to roll out of the way. And honestly, other than the bosses, I haven't found it to be that difficult at all. Now, of course, if you bump it up on the really hard difficulty, yeah, you have such a limited window to be able to hit that block counter. Oh my God, they will pretty much wipe you out. Even stormtroopers can wipe you out in a couple hits. Even though stormtroopers in this, they got them right. They're bumbling morons that you can just hit with a couple quick swipes. Now, one thing that's kind of odd, and I understand why they did this isn't a mature rated game. So, like robots and creatures and aliens, you can slice into pieces with your lightsaber, but when it comes to people, you cannot. It just leaves marks on them, which, I mean, it's not a big deal. I mean, if you had a game that was realistic, well, I can't say realistic since this is based off Star Wars, but if you had a game that had the same, practicality of lightsabers where they cut through anything, you wouldn't have much of a game. You could use it to cut through walls and you could break the game, so that's why they don't allow that. But like I said, as you go through your 6 different planets that are fairly large in size, and as you unlock new abilities, they get a much larger with a bunch of different things to do. The game is the heavy focus on the blocking and your roll mechanics, and it does have some pretty decent voice acting in it. I kind of noticed the lady looked a little weird at first, and I'm like, she looks familiar and sounds familiar. And it turns out they've got like Deborah Wilson, I think she was from Mad TV, and even Forrest Whitaker's in the game. So honestly, it's all around. I can fortunately say this is a good game. It is a fun game. Honestly, some people might find that the battle mechanics, the fighting mechanics aren't that deep. But, you know, for everybody to keep saying this is like Dark Souls, no, it isn't. It's not like Dark Souls. It's got a couple little things similar to Dark Souls in it, like the stupid, focus on that's respawning enemies when you use your meditation rings, and the fact that they're mainly knowing how to judge an enemy by their attack patterns to be able to counter them and be able to attack them successfully. But other than that, even on the hardest difficulty, I don't think it's anything like those games. It's just a little bit of like that. I honestly feel it is more like friggin' Uncharted wrapped in a Star Wars skin. Uncharted with a lot of aspects of Tomb Raider, with a lot of the puzzles that you have to solve throughout, and a couple of them are actually some pretty good head scratchers. But in the end, I can't believe I'm saying this, I like Jedi Fallen Order. I'm not a fan of EA, but I do like Respawn Entertainment, and I do think they made a pretty dang decent game here. And also, it's nice to see, hey, wow, EA, what's going on with you guys? You actually made a single-player Star Wars game that doesn't suck? I mean, it's not the greatest game out there, but you know what? It's still a pretty entertaining game, and for the 20 plus hours I had with it, I had a good amount of fun. And I can actually recommend, if you are a fan of Star Wars and you like games like Uncharted, go ahead and pick it up. It's actually pretty good and worth the full price tag of $60 for your nice 20 plus hour adventure. This was Nate, aka Devil Dog, and I want to thank each and every one of you for watching this video. Please hit the bell icon to stay updated whenever I release any new videos. Hit the thumbs up if you like this video, and leave a comment below if you played this game, if you plan on playing it, and what you think about EA actually making a single player game. And remember, I always end my videos by saying, have fun, play hard, and remember people, the devil is in the details. Peace out until next time.